What's going on, everybody, and welcome to J Sports Seattle. In this video, I'm going to be going over the Seahawks game against the Vikings yesterday. That was a very heartbreaking loss, and that, honestly, there's a very good chance that loss right there ended our season. I'm going to be straight up. That was a back-breaking loss, one that we had in our hands going into the fourth, or going down the stretch, I should say. And it just goes to show that we are not who we need to be, and there's going to be a lot of changes to this team going into the offseason. So, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more Seahawks and Seattle sports content. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. So, yeah, that was just a horrible loss all around. There were some cracks you see on the screen right there. Interception to seal the game. Firstly, I gotta say, there is going to be a lot of changes going into this offseason. There are going to be some people that are not going to be on this team next year that are either going to get cut or traded. And firstly, I'm going to start with Geno Smith. So yesterday, when I made the preview video, I was talking about how Geno needs to stop with the red zone interceptions, and this time he didn't throw a red zone interception. Instead, he threw two boneheaded interceptions that he didn't need to throw, and it cost us the game. The defense allowed 21 points. The reason why I say that is because Geno threw an interception that forced, the defense to be in a short field. So 21 points, or not 21 points, sorry, I'm looking at the Seahawks score. 24 points, sorry. The defense allowed 24 points. And there are a couple people that I'm going to have to call out in this game. Firstly, like I said, Geno Smith, I want to say he played a good game, but he didn't. He threw two costly interceptions that should not have been thrown. In my previous video yesterday, I told him how, even though you're under pressure, you can't force it. You either got to throw it out of bounds, or you throw it in the dirt and take your intentional grounding. But an interception is not the way to go. And Geno Smith is proving, not really proving, but he's showing why he's not going to be quarterback after this year. Or at least he's not going to get in a contract extension with us after his contract is up, at least. So even if he is here in his final year next year, it'll be his last year, because we're not going to re-sign him. He had a chance to have a game-winning drive, and, it didn't happen. Like I said in yesterday's video, you gotta keep in mind of who he had the game-winning drives against in the context of those. He's had three game-winning drives this year. All three of them were against below 500 teams. Well, I don't know if the Niners were below 500 at the time when they beat him, but regardless, they were injured and they were completely decimated with injuries. But the Patriots, the Niners, and then the Jets, which you're not supposed to have a game-winning drive against the Jets. You're supposed to blow them out of the water. So Geno is really, I don't really know what to say about Geno anymore. I'm not a Geno hater. I'm a realist. This team is not going to go anywhere with Geno Smith as quarterback. I mean, he's as good as he is. He's a bridge quarterback. That's all he'll ever be, and that's good for Geno. I mean, I'm glad he got his bag and he's able to have some sort of resurgence in the league. But he'll forever just be a bridge quarterback and just be a system quarterback. And that's fine. But he is not the guy that's going to take us deep into a playoff run. You clearly saw it yesterday. He threw two interceptions. Ones that he shouldn't have thrown. I mean, the first one he definitely shouldn't have thrown. The second one, he's trying to make a play down the field, but he threw into triple coverage. You don't do that as a quarterback. It doesn't matter if you have no timeouts and you're down and you have 55 seconds left to get the field goal. You got to make smarter decisions. I get that he was trying to make a throw to the sideline so you can get out of bounds, but that's where you run hurry up offense there. Go for chunk yardage right there. So Geno Smith has really gotten on my bad side the past couple weeks, and it's because he's faced superior opponents. I mean, he just doesn't do well against better opponents. It's just simple as that. And then when we beat the Niners, he still didn't have that great of a game. He threw an interception that he wasn't supposed to throw. He kept forcing it, and he's starting to revert back to Jets Geno, in my opinion. And that's not the way to go. And like I said, he's not going to be on this team much longer. Whether if he gets traded or we release him and decide to either go in favor of Howe, or if we draft a quarterback, he's not going to be the starting quarterback for much longer, I feel like. So, and defensively we got snuffed, but I'm not even going to put that on Mike Macdonald. In the end, I blame Tariq Woolen. Yes, I'm blaming Rick Woolen. You can say I'm a Rick Woolen hater, but clearly I'm not, because clearly Mike Macdonald doesn't like what Woolen's doing either on the team. He got benched on the opening drive in favor of Josh Jobe, who actually outplayed him today. A guy that came from the practice squad outplayed a guy that was a Pro Bowler in his rookie season and had 6 interceptions in his rookie season. That's unacceptable. And that just shows that Woolen's probably not going to be in this team next year. He's probably going to get traded or cut. Probably traded, though, because we want to at least get something out of it. Because that's not what Mike Macdonald wants. If Woolen is out here getting cooked in coverage, he gave up the game-winning touchdown or game-losing touchdown. Yes, you can blame Julian Love for not getting held there in help in time, but what the hell is Woolen doing just jogging while looking back at the quarterback? You have 4.26 40 speed, my guy. You got to be on your man. Like, I don't understand that philosophy right there. So Woolen's not going to be in this team next year, and he is really his stock has gone down dramatically the past couple weeks with his play. I mean, he had the worst game of his career last week against the Packers, and he seemingly had another bad game against the Vikings yesterday. I mean, he got benched. Like, that's the second year in a row he's gotten benched in favor of someone else. That's not good. That shows of who he is as a character, and that shows that he's not going to be in this team much longer. So that's going to be another change for him, is he's going to be gone after the season, because he is defying what Mike Macdonald wants in this team, and that's obviously that you do stuff like that, you're going to get traded. So expect Geno not to be here next year, most likely. I'm going to say most likely, because there is a chance he will be here next year. But I am very confident that Rick Woolen is not going to be on this team next year. And another person that I think will not be on this team next year is Kenneth Walker. And it's not all his fault. This is like Kenneth Walker is like the one person that's not going to be on the team, but it's not because I don't like what he's doing. It's because he just can't stay healthy. We need people that can stay healthy. Jacques Charbonnet, he's been healthy most of the year. Kenny McIntosh is I feel like he did a much better job yesterday. He did a much better job yesterday, both in pass and running the ball. I feel like the thing with K9 is I feel like and it's not all his fault. The O-line has really forced this guy to try to make plays out of nothing, and I feel like he's seeing ghosts, and I feel like he's over relying on his ability to be able to cut at the line and be able to use his shiftiness. There are times where I see Walker, running the ball, and he makes an unnecessary cut when there is a wide open lane that he could just run straight through. And I mean, that's just who he is. That's just who he is. He wants to try to make a play out of nothing, but we need with how Mike Macdonald wants to run his team, we need a downhill runner. Walker isn't really a downhill runner, in my opinion. I mean, yes, he's physical and he can definitely bulldoze people, but he's a shifty back. He's not really a downhill back like Zach Charbonnet or even McIntosh, who would go straight down the middle. And it's just we're seeing cracks in this team, and we're seeing the cracks of the leftover regime of Pete Carroll. Geno Smith, left over from Pete Carroll. Rick Woolen, left over from Pete Carroll. And Walker, left over from Pete Carroll. Some of those guys are not going to be here next year. Those are the guys that might have fit Carroll's system and Carroll's team. But like I said in the past, this is no longer Carroll's team. So this is Mike Macdonald's team. So there's going to be a lot of changes going into this offseason. And this is kind of, like I said, this is kind of like a feel-out year to kind of see what we need to do in order to improve. And clearly, there are some cracks. There are some cracks in the players that we have that show that they're not going to be on this team next year. I also want to call out Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb, yes, we put up 24 points, and we ended up taking the lead with that touchdown in the end. But Ryan Grubb, for the majority of the game, there were so many times where Geno would just had so much time in the pocket, and this is not those times. That's not Geno's fault. That's Ryan Grubb not knowing how to scheme, and that's because he's a rookie offensive coordinator coming straight out of college, and he's been figured out. I mean, I remember the one time where Geno took that sack. I just see 3 wide receivers just doing go routes. What? There was 2 wide receivers. One was doing a post route, and then one was doing just a straight go route, and that's just predictable, if you ask me. There's no, and the amount of screens, like, the screen game has not worked for Ryan Grubb this year, and it's just been infuriating seeing us run screens on that 1st and 5, for example. Why are you not running the ball on a 1st and 5? Why do you feel like you need to run a screen on a 1st and 5? You just gave them back yards, which then forced us to get out of field goal territory, and we had to kick. That was after that fake punt, by the way, which was a great call by Jay Harbaugh and Mike. And then Ryan Grubb just ruins it by calling it. And then they had an offsides. The Vikings had an offsides, which put us in 1st and 5. And then you try to run a disguised screenplay. What is wrong with you, Grubb? So I don't know if Grubb's going to be on this team next year as offensive coordinator. I feel like he will be because he's a rookie and he's coming straight out of college. And I feel like, once he has an offseason to really look at his tape and really see what he needs to do, I feel like he could improve next year. I honestly think he will be offensive coordinator next year, but he's like, and I just think that Geno is not the quarterback for his system. Yes, Geno can sling the ball and he can throw the ball, but Geno cannot use his legs. He was hurt yesterday. You saw him hobbling a lot, especially like on that touchdown drive in the 4th where he ran for like 8 yards. He was limping a bit. He's not fully healthy, but the thing is Geno, he's just up there in age. He's 34. Maybe if Geno was like 5 years younger, he could we could have more designed runs, or we could rely on Geno to use his or give Geno an outlet to use his legs. But Geno, he's 34, and even though even though he doesn't have the typical mileage of a 34-year-old quarterback because he's been riding the bench for most of his career as a backup, 34 is 34. It's just you're human. It's just how the human body works. You age, and that's not Geno's fault. But it is Geno's fault for making boat-headed mistakes and making throws he shouldn't throw, like that interception he made in our own territory. I get he was under pressure, but I've said this multiple times in the past. The number one priority of a quarterback is to not turn the ball over. If you take a sack, whatever, let the defense turn it around in the second half. Minus that Reek Woolen allowed touchdown. You could say, like I said, it was Julian Love, but Reek Woolen just doesn't need to be jogging in coverage looking at the quarterback. He needs to be playing his man. So, because if Reek Woolen was on for that, I'm talking about that touchdown that Jay Jettas had. If Reek Woolen was just playing his man, Love would have gotten there in time and potentially would have picked that off. But since Woolen gave Jay Jettas some daylight, Donald fit it perfectly where only Jay Jettas could get it, because Woolen was like 5-6 yards behind him. That's just unacceptable by Woolen right there. And I've loved Woolen ever since he's been on the team, except for this year. This year he's taken a massive step back, and that's probably because he just doesn't fit Mike Macdonald's scheme. You clearly see this with him being benched. So, and him being outplayed by Josh Jobe. That's just unacceptable if you're someone that especially got drafted. So this just overall, this team shows that, or this game showed that we are far from who we need to be as a team this season, and there's going to be a lot of changes going into this offseason. And then secondly, I got to talk about the O-line. Let's take a look at the full box score. So Geno was sacked only 2 times, but there were so many costly penalties that just didn't need to happen. How in the world do you have, 5 false starts or 4 false starts on your own turf? That's just unacceptable. And that comes down to discipline. Like I said, I don't think Scott Huff is ready to be an NFL offensive lineman coach. And I think we need to move off Scott Huff this season and go find a seasoned vet that knows how to, because you're taking a bunch of young offensive linemen and you're taking a rookie offensive lineman coach from college to coach them. That doesn't really sound like a good idea to me. I didn't really think about that until now. That doesn't really sound like a good idea to me. Using a rookie offensive lineman coach from straight out of college to coach young offensive linemen, especially with some that are rookies or in their second year. That's just not a good idea. So I do believe that we need to move off Scott Huff after this year as our offensive lineman coach, and I believe there's going to be we need to shake some things up in the staff. But yeah, overall, this was just. I mean, the thing is like we only lost by 3 points. Minnesota Vikings are no joke, and we were in a dogfight until the very end. So I got to give props to the team overall to continue to fight until the end. But there were too many costly mistakes on both sides of the ball that we just shouldn't make, and it's just how it is. We're gonna have to move off a few people this year, and that's business right there. Firstly, second, let's move to the positive though. I want to congratulate JSN for cracking 1,000 yards. I said before the season that I wouldn't be surprised if he got 1,000 yards this year, and sure enough, he did. He nearly got 100 yards in rushing this or passing this year, or receiving this game, I should say. He even had a rush on. So he actually had. If you're jingling, my cats are playing around, so sorry about that. He had 100 total yards from scrimmage today, which is great. And then DK had that crazy catch. That was his first touchdown since week 7. And, that's not a good stat to really have. But I'm glad he was there and he came through for that touchdown. But JSN is now wide receiver 1. He's proven that the past few weeks. He has overtaken DK as wide receiver 1. And Lockett, two receptions for 19 yards. He did draw a couple PI, which was good. But I like Lockett. Lockett could be another potential cut candidate after the season, and unless he decides to retire after this year, which he could. He's taken that wide receiver 3 spot, and I feel like that's good. That's good for JSN because JSN sat behind Lockett last year, and Lockett had a great year last year. And JSN learned from one of the better slot receivers in the league. And JSN has been one of the, if not the best slot receivers in the league this year. So that is great to see. And he's, like I said, he's overtaking himself as wide receiver 1 for sure. And I believe that if he goes crazy again next year, we got to give him an extension. We got to give him an extension before his price goes up because he is a baller, and he is showing why we chose him in 28th overall in last year's draft. So this is, I'm glad that we have some bright spots. Tyrese Knight again look at Josh Jobe, man. 7 tackles, 7 solo tackles, all of this and a pass deflection. That's crazy that Josh Jobe outplayed Reek Woolen. And I got to give props to Witherspoon, too. Witherspoon was all over the place today or yesterday. And that's the type of corner that Mike McDonald wants. A guy that can tackle and a guy that knows what he needs to do and a guy that is very versatile at corner. Reek Woolen, he's kind of one-dimensional if you ask me. He can't really rush the quarterback. He can't tackle. He's good in coverage, but the thing is he has lapses in focus, like you saw yesterday. And like you saw, he got benched. So that's just, like I said, I feel like this is just, I'm already looking to the offseason because I feel like our season could be already over, assuming that we, don't win out and we win against the Bears on Thursday and then somehow beat the Rams week 18. But there's a chance that, I think let's see. I feel like Rayshawn Jenkins could also be a cut candidate. I feel like we could find someone else in favor of him, whether if we draft someone or sign someone else. Julian Love has been a baller for the Seahawks this year. I'm glad we re-signed him and have him locked up. Trey Brown made a few mistakes. He got cooked on a touchdown, too. He's not going to be on the team next year. I think this is his final year of his rookie deal anyway. And then, Reek Woolen, he's going to be gone, I feel like. So I feel like the top cut candidates, or at least the top candidates that either get cut or traded, are Geno, K9, Lockett, and Jenkins, and Woolen. I feel like out of those 5 people, you're going to at least see 3 of them go next year. So it's just, and that's fine. Like I said, Mike McDonald, this is like a field-out year, and the fact that he has us in playoff contention down the stretch instead of having us like the Patriots in his first year, it goes to show how good of a coach he can be as long as he gets the pieces that he has. And that's the reason why we signed him to a 6-year deal, because this is a long-term project. This isn't just a 1-year thing or a 2-year thing. No, he's going to be here for the foreseeable future, and I like that. And he just needs more of the players that knows what he wants from this team. And there are a few players that he want that have an idea of what they want or sorry, he has a lot of players on this team that knows what Mike Macdonald wants. But but there are the players like I mentioned before, like Jenkins, like Woolen, that are probably not going to be here next year. Draymond Jones was a complete non-factor yesterday. Like, are you serious? No tackles, one QB hit, and we signed him to a lucrative deal too. He could also be on the chop block as well. So they're obviously we got to continue playing out this season. There's still 2 games to play left in the season, but our playoff hopes look dashed after that game. I mean that was a must-win at home. 3-6 at home, just unacceptable. And I mean, this could be a chance where we miss the playoffs for back-to-back years for the first time since 2010, or even then, since before 2010. I mean, because the thing with under Pete Carroll, we have never ever missed. We never went back-to-back seasons with missing the playoffs. So. But the thing is we missed the playoffs under Pete Carroll last year. Now we'd be missing it under. We would. I'm not saying we aren't. We are, because there's still, games to be played. But there is a chance that the Seahawks may miss the playoffs this year, and that'll be the first time in well over a decade and a half that the Seahawks have missed the playoffs in back-to-back years. That's a very, very real possibility. So. Yeah, Geno Smith, man. It's like I said, it starts with the quarterback on offense, and like I said, I can't put all the blame on Geno because the O-line has been just horrible. So many false starts, penalties, ineligible man downfield, holdings. It was just a horrible day on offense, and I mean, he's at nearly 4,000 yards. He's still third in the league in passing yards, but. Like I said, it's because he has the most passing attempts in the league. That's the reason why. So, it's because of yes, he's third in the league in passing yards because of the volume of the amount of attempts he has. We don't run the ball, so we just pass. So, I mean, I'm really happy with the way the season's going so far. I honestly thought we were only going to... I did make my prediction at 10-7, which it still could happen if we went out. We could still go 10-7. But, that was a little ambitious. And maybe it's because we have a good roster. So, we would at least hope to have a game improvement on last year. But there's a very good chance we just go 9-8 again. 3 straight years are going 9-8. And that shows that it's not the coaching, it's the roster. And, I mean, obviously Pete Carroll had a factor in it. And the reason why we went 9-8 the past couple years, but it just shows that it's because Pete Carroll built an average roster. So, overall, yes, you have playmakers, but you also have people that are detriment to the team, like Draymond Jones, like Rick Woolen, like K9, who can't stay healthy. That's not all his fault; he just can't stay healthy. So, like I said, we'll see what happens this offseason, but. There's still there's still football left to play, so I can't really focus on the offseason yet until it's actually here. I'll be previewing the Bears. It is a short week, and we have to travel to Chicago. We have to face the Bears on Thursday Night Football as our final primetime game. Hopefully, we won't go 0-4 in primetime this year. We can win against the Bears. If we lose against the Bears, we definitely don't deserve to make the playoffs. It's as simple as that. So. That is a must-win. I mean, our playoff hopes are technically not that, or we're still technically still alive, assuming that the Rams lose to the Cardinals. But if the Rams win and we win against the Bears, and we win against the Rams in Week 18, we would both be 10-7. And at that point, since we would both have the same division record, it would just be up to strength of schedule at that point. So it would basically be up to fate. And I think we would probably take the lead because we had the hardest remaining schedule in the league. So I think if we win on Thursday and then beat the Rams in Week 18, I think we make the playoffs and we win the division. But we'll see what happens. First, you got to get to Thursday. There's still football left to be played, so I'm going to preview that game probably on Wednesday. Yeah, I'll preview that game on Wednesday most likely. We'll see what happens, if not the day of. So stay tuned for that. But let me know what you guys think of the game and how the season's going so far and what you guys feel about the season. And if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more Seahawks and Seattle sports content. Thank you for stopping by. Have a good day. And go Hawks, go Mariners, and go Kraken.